Welcome to today's webinar on Mastering Maths, Strategies to Ace Your Board Exam. So today we will be covering some key insights and strategies that can help you to excel your grade 10 board exam. We appreciate all of you taking time to join with us, and we hope that you will find these sessions very valuable. Please feel free to ask any questions. Put it in the chat box. We will be answering your questions on and on. With Srividya ma'am, would you please share the slide? Yes, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. Let's proceed to review the course outline and explore its key components. Now, CBSE offers two subjects in mathematics, standard mathematics and the basic mathematics. The syllabus for both the subjects remains same. The only difference is in the difficulty level. In standard mathematics, questions paper will have easy, medium, and higher order thinking skill questions, whereas in basic mathematics you will have easy to medium level questions. Now, as you can see in this slide, the syllabus has given us unit wise. Okay, so there are total 7 units. So under number system you have only one chapter, that is number system, and algebra covers 4 chapters, that is polynomials, linear equations in two variables, quadratic equations, and arithmetic progressions. Now, from this weightage, it is very clear that algebra carries a more high weightage, right? So, and geometry covers 2 chapters, that is triangles and circles, followed by trigonometry, mensuration, and statistics and probability. Ma'am, move to the next step. Let us look at the questions paper, some guidelines. Now, already you have appeared for prelims 1, so you are aware of the question paper guidelines. Still, I am going to repeat it again. Your question paper will contain 38 questions and all questions are compulsory. There will be 5 sections, sections A, B, C, D and E. Section A, it consists of 20 MCQ. Out of 20 MCQ, 2 MCQs will be based on your reasoning and assertion based, and section B will have your 5 MCQ, 5 very short answer type questions. Section C and D are subjective type questions. Section C carries 3 marks in each questions, and section D carries 5 marks in each questions. In section E, question number, that is question number 36 to 38, are the case based questions, which will carry 4 marks, and these 4 marks will further bifurcated into 1 and 2 marks. So options internal choice will be given only in the 2 marks questions. Draw neat figure wherever required. Take pi value as 22/7 wherever required, if not stated in the question paper. For example, suppose you got a question from areas related to circle, and in that questions it is mentioned that take pi as 3.14. In that case you have to take it as a 3.14, not as 22/7. If nothing is mentioned in the questions, then you have to take the pi value as 22/7, and use of calculator is strictly not allowed. Okay, coming next, this is a question paper of 2024 set 1 maths. Now, each question paper is uniquely coded, and each question paper has one distinct series number. As you can see, I have highlighted with a yellow color border, so that gives you a series number, and green color that gives you a question paper code and set number. Now, once you receive the question paper, the first thing that you should do is you should write your roll number in the question paper. Do not annotate anything other than this in your question paper. Then it will be considered as malpractice. Right? Ma'am, moving to the next slide. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the format and layout of the answer booklet. Now, as illustrated in the answer booklet, you can see that the first row in the left hand side is the subject. Please ensure that the subject name is written full, not in abbreviations. If it is a standard maths, you should write standard maths. Cross check from your admit card. In your admit card, both the subject code and the subject's name will be written. So while filling this sheet, be extra careful. Okay. Now below that, you write the subject code, day and date. Please cross check the details. Again, I am repeating. Please cross check the details from your admit card. Now, medium of answering the paper is always English, except second language. All in all the other subject, your medium of answering the paper is English. Now, once you receive the question paper, fill the question paper code and set number in the given boxes. Now, in the previous slide, you have got that each question paper is being coded as a distinct number. So that number, code number, and the set number, you have to fill it in the yeah. In this paper, you can see I have filled as a yellow and green color. The same thing, the same number has to be filled in your answer booklet. Okay. Now, if you are taking any supplementary sheets, then only you have to fill the next box. Otherwise, write down as NA, stands for not applicable. Okay. Moving on to the right hand side, write down your name in the prescribed box. Now, while filling this box, don't leave any space between the two alphabets of your name, but you should leave one box between your name and the surname. So I will suggest that while filling this answer booklet, first fill it with a pencil and then you can fill it with your pen. Please take your time and carefully complete these sections. No whitener to be used in this page. And please ensure that you provide the correct information. Write down your roll number, subject code, center number, and school number. All these details will be available in your admit card. Please be careful and double check these details. Now, once you have filled it, you have to write down your roll number in words. Okay, so once you will write down your roll number in numbers, and next you write down your roll numbers in words, and then you will fill down your father's name and your signature. Now, ensure that your signature on the admit card and on the answer booklet is identical. While you will receive one admit card, you have to sign your admit card. Now that signature on the admit card and the signature on this answer booklet should be identical to avoid any further confusions. I hope I am clear with this question paper and answer booklet guidelines. Okay, let us move to next. Now, let us see what are the question paper guidelines. Candidate must write the question paper code on the title page, as I already mentioned. After receiving the question paper, you must check the total number of pages in the question paper. It will be printed in the question paper and you check the page number. Please write down the serial number of the question paper in the answer booklet before you attempt it. Now, your examinations will start from 10:30 and it will end at 1:30. But you should reach the center by 9. Okay, so your 15 minutes time will be given to read the question paper. That means exactly at 10 o'clock you will be distributed your answer booklet. Okay, 10 to 10:15 time will be given. That means 15 minutes time will be given to fill the first page of the answer booklet, and at exactly 10:15 your question paper will be distributed. After you receive the question paper, next 15 minutes is to read the question paper. And you will not write any answer on the answer booklet during this period. Make sure you open the seal of the answer booklet exactly at 10:30, not before that. Okay. Let us see some do's and don'ts during the exam. Now, during the exam, try to remain calm. Okay, panicking is not going to help you in any way because there is no negative marking in CBSE, so no worries, right? Now, while reading the paper, read the question paper very, very carefully in such a manner that you are able to decide which options you are going to attempt. Right now, while attempting the questions, mention the question number as given in the question paper. Do not change the questions number. Right, and next, you should mention, if your time permits. Suppose you are done with your paper within 2 hours or 2 hours 15 minutes, and the first thing you do after completions of paper is to review the paper. Right, that means you will go ahead, you will go back to the previous questions. That means from the section A, section B, C, D and E, you completely review the paper, check the paper thoroughly, and if after that also, if time permits, then only you can attempt the extra questions. Right, but I would suggest first, after completions of the paper, you must review your paper thoroughly. Check the question number. If the question number you have copied, it is correct, check the values given in the questions. Are you check if you have copied it correctly or not. Then only after review is done, and then only if time permits, you can go ahead with the extra questions. But do not attempt same MCQ twice with two different options. Then no marks will be given for the MCQ questions. Right, suppose there are question number 5, you have doubts, solve it. If you have still doubt, strike it out, again you solve it. But for question number 5, don't write option B and C, both are correct. No marks will be awarded for MCQ questions. Okay. For 2 marks, 3 marks and 5 marks questions, show all the workings step by step. Right? Now, moving next, planning. Okay. Now, why planning is required? Planning is required so that you can prepare your board exam without any stress. Okay, so you must develop a study plan. This study plan will make your preparations more effective and less stressful. Okay, make a daily timetable that allocates specific time for each subject. Now, break down the study material into small parts and allocate specific time for each topic. Okay, practice consistently. For practicing, I would suggest that you first start practice with the NCERT textbook, because it is the foundations for CBSE exam. You, of course, after that you can supplement your studies with a reference book like R.S. Agarwal. You must practice all the CBSE sample papers that they have published, also previous year question paper. That will help you understand the question paper patterns and types of questions. Many a times that we have seen that many questions has been repeated, so you will get one idea of what kind of questions you should practice. And also, while you're practicing, you will get a conceptual clarity of all the problems. While practice only, you will come to know which are the areas that you need to work on. Without practice, it is not at all possible. Right? So first focus on the weak areas. Okay. As for my experience, I have seen that the weak areas basically mainly because of three factors. First one, because you don't know the concept, that means conceptual clarity is not there. Second thing, lack of practice. You know the concept, but due to lack of practice, you will get stuck in middle. And third thing is that application based questions. You know the concept, but you don't know how to apply the concept in the application based questions. So while by practicing only, you will come to know where you are lacking. Wherever you are lacking, please make a note. Please make a note. And next day you go and ask your teacher the problem where you are lacking. Of course, I'm sure all teachers are going to help you. These 2 months, take as much help as possible from your teacher. Next come presentations, which is very, very important because presentations can make an important factor to excel in the board exam, right? For presentation, the first thing is the neatness. You have to present your paper with the ultimum neatness. There should not be any mess. There should not be any cutout. Suppose you are doing one solutions and you get to know that you are doing wrong. Strike it out. Start again from fresh. Don't do again the solutions in the next question. That right hand side you have cut it out and the left hand side you have solved. Don't do it. Neatness plays a very, very important role. Margin and headings are very important. After you get your booklet, answer booklet, once you start answering, please draw right hand side margin so that whatever the rough works are there, you should show in the right hand side, not on the left hand side. For the left hand side border, don't write anything because that border has been given for allocation of marks. So whatever the rough works are there, you should do it on the right hand side of the answer booklet, not on the left hand side of the answer booklet. Clear? Next, show your working step by step. Now, why step by step solutions is required? Because step by step, when you show the step by step calculation, it will give your examiner who is evaluating your paper a clear idea about your thought process, right? Also, examiner will have a more comprehensive understanding about your knowledge and your skills. So once any short answer type questions or long answer type questions, all these questions always break down the complex problem into a small chunks and then you proceed with each and every step. So also it will help you to avoid doing any mistake and it will ensure that you don't miss any crucial steps. Now, CBSE has these guidelines that all the questions will be given as a step marking and except MCQ questions. MCQ questions, there is no step marking, either 1 or 0. But other than MCQ questions, all the questions are having the step marking. So show your work step by step. Once you get the final answer, please box it. Okay, why? So that you are highlighting your answer. It will be easy for the examiner to note the your answer. Now examiner will not have enough time to turn over pages and look for your answer or look for your rough work. Show everything in the same sheet. Your rough work would be right hand side column. In the main sheet, you will do your main work. And the next is practice, practice, and practice. There is no alternative to practice, right? Because we know that practice makes a man perfect. Without practice, nothing is possible. Okay. Now, practice doesn't mean that doing a things few things here and there or reading a chapter, or it is not like that. It is about a consistent and deliberate effort over a time. Okay, it is about a setting a goal. You set your goal, right? And the goal should be very realistic. It should not be a very big goal that within one day you will complete 3 chapters. No, it is not possible. Okay, so within one day you take one chapter, few portions, not all the portions. Clear? So it will help you to familiarize with yourself with the complete syllabus. Now, let us start with our first chapter. Okay, number system. In the number system, the first concept is your fundamental theorem of arithmetics. Any questions based on this concept, if it is asked in the question paper, you must mention this theorem because writing this theorem, if the question is of 2 marks, writing of this theorem will give you half a mark. So don't miss that. Next is relations between the HCF and LCM and product of two numbers. Always start this type of questions with the relations in words. Write down the relations and then you substitute the value and then you do the calculations, get your answer. Am I clear? Next is applications on HCF and LCM. Many a time I have seen that students suffers in these kind of questions where they get confused that what has to be used, either it is HCF or LCM. Okay, the first thing it will help you practice. Now in NCERT textbook, based on this concept, a very few questions has been given. So better you practice this concept from R.S. Agarwal. Lot of varieties has been given there. Next one is prove that square root of 2, 3 or 5 are irrational number. This is a repeated questions multiple time I have seen in the CBSE question paper. This is direct from the textbook. So it is expected from everyone that you write down all the steps. You should not miss the steps. You highlight or underline the key points here and come to the conclusions. I hope till now it is clear to everyone. Let us go for the next unit, that is algebra. The first chapters in algebra is polynomial. Now in polynomial, the first topic is the zeros of polynomial and solutions of polynomial. Zeros also called as a root. So don't get confused that it has asked me zeros, but I know only roots, I don't know zero. Zero is nothing but the root. Zero is also called the solutions. All are same. Now, when you are writing a polynomial in terms of is zeros, do not forget to write down the k value. What is k? K is a constant and k belongs to real number. If you don't write that k and k belongs to real number, half a mark will be deducted from this type of questions. Okay, so kindly do not donate marks. Okay, so please write down k along with what kind of number it is. It is a real number. Next is the verifications of zeros and the coefficients in the polynomial. Now, whenever this kind of questions comes in the verifications, always write down in words. That means alpha plus beta equals to minus b by a. What is b? What is a? Write down. B is coefficient of x. A is coefficient of x square. These things are mandatory to have a proper presentations in your paper. If you miss the small things, half like that, many a marks will be deducted. So please kindly note down very carefully. You have to write down k, and what is k? K belongs to real number. When there is any questions based on verifications, you must write down in words what is the meaning of b and what is the meaning of a. Now coming to pair of linear equations in two variables. Now in these chapters you have the solvability conditions. Now whenever they will ask the solvability conditions, write down the linear equations, show the value of ABC. What is the value of A1, B1, C1? What is the value of A2, B2 and C2? Write down and then you use these conditions. Next, for the graphical method, I have seen when you draw x and y axis, some of you don't put arrow marks, which is wrong. You must put arrow marks because those two are the number lines. Lines are always having arrows on the both side, and please make sure you write x and y axis clearly. Okay, don't miss that. Now coming to quadratic equations, standard form of quadratic equations and solution of quadratic equation. If you have got any value as under square root, then don't forget to take both plus and minus. For example, suppose x square you got as 16. Then what is the value of x? Don't write only 4. It is plus and minus 4 because both the value will satisfy the conditions. If you miss it, again from the final step, half a mark will be deducted. Now from quadratic equations, 5 marks questions, many a time it has been set in the question paper. It is a problem related to day-to-day activities. Practice all those questions from R.S. Agarwal, NCERT, sample paper and previous year question paper. It is a must. Now coming to arithmetic progressions. Now you must be thorough with the AP formulas. Okay, so I would suggest that you prepare your own mind maps or flashcard so that every day you can see that it will be registered on your memory. Because without formula, this chapter it is impossible. If you know this formula, only you can proceed. Otherwise, no. Now derivations of nth term and the sum of nth term, many a times it has been asked in the question paper. So practice it. Okay, it is the clear, the theory is clearly given in the NCERT textbook. Practice it. Coming to coordinate geometry, There are some common mistake that I have seen, that sometimes you ignore the negative sign of the coordinate. Okay, now coordinate, each coordinate has one given a proper place. So it has is x values and y values. Don't exchange x and y. So in that case, questions is literally it is different. So don't change the questions. Please, while copying from the question paper, make sure you copy the correct value of x and correct value of y. First, you make sure you have copied correctly, and then only you should proceed with the questions. Otherwise, if you get confused between x and y coordinate, it will lead to incorrect plotting in the points. Next, incorrect formula. Now in these chapters you have few formulas like section formula, distance formula, midterm, midpoint formula. You have to be thorough with the formula. So practice, like first you write down the formula and then you write down the coordinates and then you substitute. Directly you don't substitute in the formula, right? So what is the first thing you have to do? You have to write down the formula, write down the x1, y1, x2, y2 values, and then you substitute the values. Okay, and then don't do mistake any kind of calculations. And for square root, always take the distance formula and find out the distance. Okay, now how to avoid this kind of mistake? Double check. You have to double check your whatever you have copied from the question paper. Second thing, again I am telling, practice. There is no alternative to practice and step by step calculations. Step by step calculation, why it is important? Of course it is important because CBSE has marks for step by step calculations. Also it is important because it will you will you can avoid doing mistakes if you do the step by step calculations. You can rectify your own mistake, you can find out your own mistake, and then you have to understand the concept. Practice doesn't mean that you just thorough with the procedure. No, you have to thorough with the concept. If you have the conceptual clarity, only you will be able to follow the procedure. Next, trigonometry and mensuration. As you have seen in the course structure, lot of weightage has been given for both this chapter, trigonometry and mensurations. Now, for trigonometry, knowing trigonometric identities is a must. So you have to practice. Now in your grade 10 syllabus there are only three identities has been given. There are no more identities. So these three identities you have to practice again and again. You have to must be thorough with all the t ratios. There are 6 t ratios. So make sure you know all the t ratios and their values from 0 degree till 90 degree. So the tabular column of the degree measurements, you have to be thorough with this. For height and distance, every year a 5 marks questions is there in the question. Multiple time we have seen in the question paper a 5 marks questions 5 marks questions has been given from this chapter. So this year also you can expect the same, and definitely it will be there. So drawing figure is compulsory for height and distance questions. 1 mark for correct drawing will be awarded. So if your drawing is correct, suppose you have drawn correctly, but you have done some mistakes in the calculation. So at minimum 1 mark will be given for the correct drawing. So drawing figure is compulsory for height and distance questions. It is not necessary that they will mention in the questions that draw figure. No, they will not mention. But you have to understand that for these questions, I need to draw the figure, and then you will proceed with the solutions. Okay, for mensuration, surface areas and volume, again all the formulas. So make your own mind map, flashcard. Daily you write down all the formulas. Without knowing the formulas, these chapters you cannot attempt a single questions. For each and every questions from these chapters, you must be thorough with all the formulas. You practice the questions where combinations of two solids are given. Varieties of questions given in the NCERT textbook as well as RS Agarwal textbook. You can get all these questions in the sample paper also. Now, any for these kind of questions in surface area volume, you will get a calculations where it is a decimal representations of numbers are there. Do not round off the number at the beginning. Always round off the number at the last step. Okay. It's always a better practice that you leave your answer up to minimum 3 decimal points. Okay, just after 1 decimal point, do not approximate. Okay, in case of any irrational number is there in the denominator, you have to first rationalize it and then you proceed with the calculations, because this chapter mensurations is known is that evaluator doesn't want to understand your concept only from this chapter. She wants to know if your understanding is clear from the first chapters. That means irrational number. So in case of any irrational number in the denominator, you have to always rationalize it. Next question. Next slide, ma'am. Now, what are the common mistake? As I said, copied wrong data in the tabular column, right? In case of statistics, you have to find you have mainly three components, that is mode, median, and mean. So all these three components, central tendency, you have to form the tabular column. Once you copied wrong from the question paper, so everything is wrong, right? So be careful while you are copying data from the question paper. Okay, from statistics question paper, they will give you a tabular column. Then you have to build 3 or 4 rows as per the questions. If it is a mean, they ask you to find the mean. It is always a better practice that you use the don't use the direct mean method. You can go for assume mean method or the step deviations method. Why? Direct mean method, your calculations will be very lengthy, so chances are there that you have done some mistakes. So better go for step deviations. Their calculations become simpler and you can avoid doing mistake. Okay. Next, don't get confused between the mean, median, and mode. Read the questions, what they have asked, and then you write down the formula and then you proceed. Okay, this chapter statistics, mostly students will do mistake in the calculation, so your calculation has to be correct. Also it has to be fast. You cannot take more than 10 minutes for a 5 marks questions from this chapter. 10 minutes is more than enough. Within 10 minutes you have to form the tabular column, you have to proceed with the solutions, and you have to get the correct answer. Okay. Again, how to avoid the mistake? Double check. Always double check your calculations and interpretations. Regular practice is a must. Without practice, it is not possible. If you think that I am good at math and I can do wonder in the examinations, then you are wrong. Magic will not happen in one night. Preparations is required. Practice, and you should have the clarity of concept. If you are getting any doubts, please seek help from your teacher or you can ask your friends, and break down the problems into a small part to avoid mistakes. Next slide, please, ma'am. Okay. Now for probability, do not forget to write the empirical formula. What is PE? You have to write in words. Don't directly write down the value from the question paper and you will get the idea you thought you will get 2 out of 2. I am sorry, no. Especially from probability, this chapter, questions will count. Question will be asked for 2 marks questions. If you don't write PE, the formula of probability, in words, then half a mark will be deducted. So be careful. When you know the concept, what is wrong in put down in the pen and paper. So when you know the concept, write down the formula of PE in words. Now, incorrect calculations, the probability cannot be negative or greater than 1. Suppose some calculations you are getting a probability negative or you are getting a probability which is greater than 1, you should know that that is your wrong calculation. Check your calculations and then you will get the correct answer. Now, in probability, always we'll get the answer as a fractions. Okay, don't leave your fractions which will have a factor, common factor. Always represent your solutions in the simplest form. That means what? Simplest form, it is a kind of rational number. Always cancel out the common factors and represent your answer in the simplest form. Now, while putting the numerator and denominator, be careful. Sometimes I have seen an answer sheet where a child has written the total number as numerator and the favorable outcome as the denominator, which is completely wrong. So be careful what you are writing. Next slide, please, ma'am. Okay, again, see what are the tips and I had given to avoid mistake. The one, two, three things are very, very common. That is practice. Okay. Second thing is understand the questions, and third thing is read the question paper carefully. Right. So these three things are the main component of your choosing a good answer script. Now, coming to section A consists of 20 MCQs of 1 mark each. What are the correct steps? Do not annotate on the question paper. Sometimes I have seen that students will mark questions as the tick mark. Suppose you have answered 4 questions, you have ticked 1, 2, 3, 4. Do not tick, because any kind of tick mark or any kind of writing on the question paper will be considered as malpractice. So do not write anything on the question paper. Read the questions very, very carefully. MCQ does not means it is a mental ability questions. MCQ also means that it is a MCQ, multiple choice they had given you, but you need to solve it and get the correct answer. So solve it, show your rough work in the same page. Sometimes it happens that your rough work you got the value as 25, but you have chosen the option as 52, right? So in that case, benefit of doubts marks will be awarded. So show your working for all the MCQ questions and recheck your calculations before finalizing the correct options. And do not erase any rough working. Keep the rough working as it is. Section B. Section B has five
Malvika ma'am,
very short.
I want
Yes,
to interrupt over here.
no
Generally,
problem.
students ask how where to do the work. Should we do it in the same sheet alongside the questions?
Yeah, so what they can do, you can draw a line on the right hand side of the answer booklet and you can show in the same page, or you can write the question number, show the working, and then you choose the correct options. Both are fine. Both are correct, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Now, section B has a very short answer type questions of 2 marks each. Now, you have to show in this case, now from section B onwards, you must show all the step by step calculations. So first you read and understand the problem, and then you understand from which chapter it has coming from, what concept has been given, and then proceed with your working, show your working and check your work. Moving to the next section, section C. Now, section C has subjective answer type questions of 3 marks. Now, the difficulty level of section C and D is little higher than section B. Section B, comparatively of easy and medium level questions, and section C and D will have your medium to higher order thinking skill questions. Again, I am telling, read the questions carefully. Now, in section C and D, most of the times the questions comes where you have to draw the figure, or you have to draw a tabular column. For example, from statistics, you have to draw the tabular column. If any questions comes from areas related to circle, you have to write the formula. All things are very important. Write down, show your step by step calculations, and then you check and verify the answer, because each and every questions carries 3 marks. If you do any mistake in one questions, you are losing directly 3 marks. Coming to section D, my favorite sections. Now, these sections will be mostly of application based questions, right? So you have to first read and understand what kind of applications they have asked, right? And then you break down the complex problem into a small parts. Draw figure. Most of the time, all the 5 marks questions, you must draw the figure. It is not necessary that in questions they will mention that draw figure and show. No, they will not mention anything. For any kind of theorem like Thales theorem, you must draw it very, very neatly, because those BPT is the questions from BPT is directly from your textbook. So it is expected that you should show all the minute calculations for this theorem. Okay, again I'm telling again, show step by step calculations, check for completeness. Section D has 3 case study questions of 4 marks each. Now, I have seen that students have this idea of for section E questions, it is not necessary to show the steps. because the marks has been bifurcated into 1 1 and 2 marks. So if you're thinking that for 1 mark you don't need to show your working, then you are wrong. You have to show working for 1 mark as well. So show your working and then you cross check and verify your answer. Moving next, time management, which is very very important. Now if you are thinking that on that examinations day you will be able to manage your time without any practice at home, you are wrong. You have to practice time management from now. So you have another 2 months. Manage your time wisely. So to manage your time you have to be thorough with your syllabus. You have to be thorough with the exam pattern, right? And you should know what kind of questions are coming. So know the different sections. Also you have to know what kind of different sections are there in the question paper. So for that I would suggest that you should go for the mock test. So practice with mock test and previous year question paper under the time conditions. So now sitting 3 hours at home is quite a challenging task. So what I would suggest, you sit for 30 minutes, complete section C. Next day, you sit for 40 minutes, complete section D. So, what is happening here? You are able to manage your time. Also, you are practicing the test paper, right? Now, first 15 minutes while you are reading the question paper, you have to be very mindful and you have to decide which questions you are going to attempt. So, that will save a lot of time, right? And you must prioritize the questions easy first. So suppose a questions you are finding it is easy, please attempt those questions and allocate time in each section. Now I have made this plan, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. Yeah, so I have made this plan. You can use this plan. This is quite helpful. Last year also students they were really thankful for this plan. For section A, there will be 20 MCQ, 1 mark each. So you just keep 1 to 2 minutes per MCQ. So maximum 40 minutes to be given for section A, no, not more than 40 minutes. For section B, 2 marks each, five very short answer type questions. So don't put more than 3 minutes. Keep 2 to 3 minutes for section B. So maximum 15 minutes time should be provided for section B. For section BC, it has 6 questions. So keep 4 to 5 seconds. So within 30 minutes, you should complete section C. Now, section D is a long answer type questions and the application based questions. Also, the difficulty level will be higher. So, what I would suggest that you can take 9 to 10 minutes. Not a problem. 9 to 10 minutes is it should be sufficient. Okay, so maximum 40 minutes. So 5 questions maximum you should give 40 minutes. 4 questions you should give maximum 40 minutes. And for case study questions, per questions, I don't think it will require 6 to 7 minutes, because case study questions are very easy to medium level questions. So you have to read the questions carefully, you will get the answer. So keep 25 minutes for a section E. So total it will take maximum 150 minutes. And then you will have time 30 minutes time to revise. So 30-minute times for revisions is quite good. Like you can check each and every questions, you can check all the calculations if type permits, and then you can go ahead with extra questions. Okay, so please try to follow this process. Now let me show you the model answer by a candidate who got centum in grade 10 2024. Okay, let's take a look at the answer sheet. See, this child, how he has represented. First he has written the questions number correctly, then correct options correctly, and then the value. So first you have to write the question number, whichever option is correct. Suppose A, write down option A and then write down the value. Don't write only option A or the value, both are important. If you miss anything, no marks will be provided. Okay, next, when he has moved to section B, see, he has drawn one line. That means he has differentiated his section A to section B with one line, and it was clearly mentioned it is section B. Write down all the sections name in your answer booklet. Without sections name, don't proceed. First you write down the section name and then the question number, and then you proceed. Now see, these questions are basically a theory questions, and it is exactly from the textbook. So he has underlined the keynotes or the main points. For this, well, he or she has underlined it. Examiner doesn't need to look or turn over the pages to find out the key points. It is easy for the examiner. Also, she has provided a clear idea of his understanding. Right. Moving next. Moving next, the same questions I have explained in the first chapters, right? Prove that a number is an irrational number. Again, this is a completely textbook questions. See, so for these textbook questions, it is expected that you write all the minute details, starting from the beginning, why you are considering it is a rational number, what should be the denominator should not be equals to 0. What about a and b, it is a prime num co-prime, right? And then why your assumption is wrong. So all these points the child has written and he has underlined it. So actually evaluator or examiner will get a comprehensive idea about your knowledge and your skill from your answer booklet. Moving next is the trigonometric identities, right? Now for these questions of trigonometry, wherever it is needed, you must write down the trigonometric identities as well as algebraic identities. Now, as you can see, the child has written 1 plus tan square theta equals to sec square theta. It is a trigonometric identity. And below that, he has written a square minus b square equals to a minus b into a plus b. It is an algebraic identities. Now, these algebraic identities you have learned in grade 7 or 8. Why it is important to write? It is important to write because you have applied this concept here. So don't think as because it is from the grade 6, 7, 8 or 9 concept, I don't need to write. No, you have to write all the points wherever you are putting in the logic. Next is that this is a case study questions. Now, case study questions, it has not been mentioned in the question paper that you have to draw the diagram. But this child has drawn the diagram and he has labeled it correctly. As because he has drawn the diagram, he has labeled it, he could analyze it and he could solve it correctly. So I request each one of you for this kind of problem, surface area volume, areas related to circles, triangles, draw diagram. If it is mentioned in the question paper, fine. If it is not mentioned in the question paper, then also you must draw the diagram. Okay. Now, on the examinations day, stay calm. Okay. Panicking is not going to help you. There is no negative marking in the CBSE exam. So, no worries. Okay. Focus on the question paper. Read the question paper correctly. Manage your time effectively. Keep a monitor like how much portions you have done and how many questions are still pending. Okay, and review your answer thoroughly. Okay, review doesn't mean that you turn over pages and you have seen that you have attempted 30 questions or 34 questions. No, that is not called a review. Review means you will again sit with the question paper, check for this question number 35, have I copied the correct value? If it is yes, then you check your calculations. Have I corrected it? Yes, and then you done with the revisions. Okay. Now I would like to take any questions, ma'am.
Ma'am, we've got a few questions. Should they
Sure.
refer to R.S. Agarwal book?
Of course, yes, because R.S. Agarwal is a reference book that EuroSchool we are doing, and we are doing it thoroughly during the class hours. In R.S. Agarwal's, you will get a varieties of questions. Of course, those varieties are there in the NCERT textbook also, but in R.S. Agarwal, previous year question papers are solved as an example. So it is a very good textbook to refer. They must refer this textbook.
What about R.D. Sharma?
R.D. Sharma, I am not telling that don't refer, you can refer it. But the problem with R.D. Sharma, with the similar questions, almost 10 questions given, just changing the value. So if you sit doing with the same kind of questions, say like you are thorough with the concept, unnecessarily you will spend so much time for one concept. So you can go ahead. If your time permits, definitely you can go ahead.
Which section would you suggest that they go for first?
Okay, now it depends. Some students they want to go ahead with section D because they feel that section D is a heavier section. So let me complete. It is a 20 marks, 5 marks each of 4 questions. Some students they follow to finish the section A because there are 20 questions and they need to finish. So it depends how you practice and your ideas. But
Shall
one
I?
thing is that, yeah, but one thing is that, ma'am, whichever sections you are attempting, write down the section number, which is very, very important. If you are starting with section D, write down section D and then follow the with question number. And if you are starting with section C, write down it is section C and then followed by the questions.
Should they attempt extra questions?
Again, I'm telling, if time permits, suppose you are done with your question answer by 2 hours or 2 hour 15 minutes, take another 30 minutes time, you know, for complete revisions, and then you can attempt the extra questions. Now, if you are attempting extra questions, don't cut the previous questions. Leave both the questions. Suppose one question goes wrong, another question is correct. So the best of these 2 marks will be awarded.
Uh, if they want to select a few questions, are they allowed to put a tick mark in the question paper itself?
No, ma'am. No, no. No tick mark is allowed on the question paper.
Right.
Immediately, it will be considered as malpractice.
So, children, a few of you have been asking me this question again and again, but it's a clear no, please do not do it. Should they keep a separate paper for rough work?
No, CBSE will not give you any extra paper. Once you are done with the main booklet, the exam superintendent will check your main booklet and then supplement sheet will be provided. So do your rough work side by side and you start practicing from now onwards. While you are so doing in your notebook, right hand side, make a column and do your rough work.
For basic math, which book is best for practice?
NCRT, NCRT.
Okay. Uh, what should they do if they end up spending too much time in one section?
Yes. So if you are thinking that you got stuck in one questions, leave 1 or 2 page and move to the next questions. Don't spend too much time on a single questions, right? And then you move it. Then once you're done with the question paper, come back again. You see the questions. Now you see like you have left with 2 pages, but 1 pages you have used. Other pages you can strike it out. And if you don't strike it out, examiner will strike it out. No problem, but don't spend too much time on a single questions. It is not at all advisable.
Is graph there in the syllabus?
Yes, ma'am, linear equations graphs there, and graphs will be attached to the main booklet. It is not like they will be giving you
Uh,
additional sheet.
which pen is permitted for writing board exams? Ink pen,
Normally,
fountain pen,
no ball pen. No
ball
ink pen.
pen.
Ball pen, blue ball pen. Okay, use only blue ball pen.
Will there be any questions out of syllabus?
Never. Never, it will be never out of syllabus.
The paper that we use for board exams is different. So do we get practice with the board answer papers?
No, board CBSE will not distribute answer paper unless it is a centered. Only the center school will have the answer paper, and that is also they will not have a single answer paper extra. Okay, so you will not get it, but of course we can show you the how the already I have shown what is the main booklet of the answer paper, and your answer booklet will be little bit of big like A4 size, sheet.
If they attempt an extra question, do they need to mention it as an extra question?
No, no need to mention. Suppose you have attempted 31, first part and second part. So first part you write down question number 31 and second part you write down question number 31 in bracket or, and leave as it is. That is the examiner's job. They will find it out.
I know you mentioned ball pen, but two, three children have been wanting to know whether gel pen is permissible.
No, gel pen, why it is not suggestible? Because many a time it will get smudged. So better try to avoid gel pen. Even in the hall ticket, when you will get the informations, it will be mentioned that use the blue ball pen.
So children only ball pen and blue ball pen. Okay. Um, Basic math, NCRT book and previous year's question papers and sample papers
It is more
given
than
by the
sufficient.
school. After all of this also, do they need to refer to RS Agarwal?
For basic math, basically the questions are from simple and easy level. So definitely, if you want to get a good marks, so definitely you can RS. RS Aval is a very good reference book. So you can refer, not a problem, because you will get a different pattern of questions, right? You can refer, but I guess for basic math, NCRT and previous year sample papers along with the question papers are more than enough.
Okay, Utkarsh is asking if there is a question that has an optional choice, do they attempt both the questions? Will we get the marks for the correct one?
For MCQ, no. There will be no questions where both the options will be correct.